executrix of the estate for Lita Bay. They all rushed towards me. They all grabbed me. Then all of a sudden, somebody had their hands between my legs, brisket touching me, my breasts. They pushed me up against the car. They put cuffs on me in front of my children. I was screaming for help because I was terrified.
All right, guys. Today we've got a professional victim sovereign citizen. At what point do these people realize that, shocker, the law actually applies to them? This lady is in court because she thought running a red light, resisting arrest, and screaming at cops was some kind of genius move. And now, she's acting like she's the one being wronged. The level of delusion here is next level. I mean, she's making regular sovereign citizens look reasonable, which is saying a lot. Let's dive in and watch this judge completely shut down this nonsense in real time. Trust me, you're gonna want to see this one.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I can hear you too. All right, this is 240P01688. This is the people versus Lita Bay. Officer Malosh, would you please state your name?
Yes, ma'am. First name Nathan, Nathan. Last Malosh, Mloche.
And Miss Bay, would you please state your name?
I'm the executrix of the estate for Lita Bay.
All right, we're here today for, looks like a ticket that was issued back on July 14th of 2024. All right, Officer Malosh, it's the government's burden, so you'll go first. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalties of perjury?
I do.
All right. So what can you tell me about the ticket that was issued on July 14th, 2024 to Lita Bay at Coolidge and Pearson in the city of Oak Park?
Yes, ma'am. The citation was issued due to Miss Bay disobeying the red light at actually Coolidge and North End. Once we got through that intersection, Miss Bay did come to a stop at Coolidge and Pearson. And then once that light cycled through, I initiated a traffic stop just north of Pearson, just south of Albany on Coolidge there at about approximately 10:45 p.m. At that time, I went up to speak to Miss Bay. Initially, she refused. She did provide a license and eventually started speaking with me. Returned to my patrol vehicle, at which time she exited her vehicle, went to the rear of her vehicle, opened up her trunk. Went up to speak with her and escort her back to her seat in her car, at which point she started resisting. So my fellow officer and I took her to the front of my car, spoke with her, initially handcuffed for officer safety. We released her without charging her for the misdemeanor for resisting obstructing, and we just went with the disobey red light. And actually at minute 158 of my body cam, Miss Bay does admit to the infraction of disobeying the red light, stating she had to use that.
When you say resisting, what do you mean?
So initially we went up to her, asked her to step away from the trunk. Obviously we didn't know what was in there. She then began to retreat from officers. We then grabbed her arm to help escort her to her vehicle, at which point she tensed up, pulled away, and started screaming at us.
What do you mean by screaming? What did she say?
Am I able to reference my report I have here?
You may.
Thank you. See, initially she said, her finger thing. She was nervous because the gun's near. Oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yep.
All I have here is that she kept screaming, "Help me!" Initially, when she was in her vehicle, she stated she didn't want to speak with us and that we were forcing her to say things against her will, and that she was nervous because we had our sidearms and we were near her children. Once she was resisting, all I have noted here is that she kept screaming, "Help me!" And that's all I've got in terms of that. I don't have access to my body camera footage at this time.
Why is that?
This is virtual court, so I don't have access to evidence.com. I don't have a work computer, so I didn't know if it was appropriate to access mobilely.
All right, and Miss Bay.
I'm the executrix for the I'm the executrix
Did you guys catch that? Because I cannot get over how these sovereign citizens can't even recite their own nonsense properly. Like, you can literally see her staring up at the ceiling, desperately trying to remember her little magical script she scribbled down before walking in. I mean, if you're gonna argue with a judge, at least memorize your nonsense first. And the craziest part? None of this holds up in court. Like, literally 0%. The law doesn't care about their made-up fantasy rules. Supreme Court decisions have already shut down this whole "I don't consent" nonsense, so I don't know why they even bother. But here's the part that really gets me. We are sharing the roads with these people. These are the same folks who would hit your car and just drive off because they think laws don't apply to them. And that's exactly why they're a problem.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalties of perjury?
I do.
All right. What can you tell me about the ticket that was issued to you?
Your Honor, I actually put in paperwork and asked for discovery, and I was advised that I shouldn't testify until I get my discovery packet.
So this isn't a criminal case. It's a civil infraction. You were free to order under the Freedom of Information Act any information regarding this case prior to the hearing. So it's not like a criminal case. It's a different standard. It's just a preponderance. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt. But you most certainly would have had access to that if you just FOIA'd the report or the body cam in this case. But we are having the hearing today, and you're free to give me your side of the story if you so choose.
On the day in question, I went through a red light. I had to use the bathroom, like really desperately. I had three teenagers in a car with me. And when the officers approached my vehicle, touching their sidearms, my daughter had the identification, and I explained to them that this was a trust situation. And they didn't care. She was terrified, and she ended up taking out my ID because she did not want us to get killed or beat up or anything. Because things have happened to family members. I didn't want to get tased. She didn't want us to get tased or beaten or killed. So she ended up taking out my ID because I did not have to identify. It was not a situation for identifying, but we were forced to because of the guns and stuff. And my children were terrified. My son's girlfriend was in the car. She was terrified. I told him it was a trust situation, and I told him I had to use the restroom, and because he said something about me going through the red light, which there was no traffic. The traffic.
Oh, so running red lights is legal now? Since when? Because apparently, this sovereign citizen is living in an alternate reality where laws are just suggestions. Honestly, at this point, we either need to ship them all to an island or force them to retake basic law classes, because this level of delusion is just crazy. Like, how do you not understand that traffic laws exist for a reason? It's the audacity for me. How do you even convince yourself this makes sense? And by the way, yes, lady, you do have to show your license if there's probable cause. And guess what? You admitted to running the red light. So, congratulations, you just snitched on yourself. But of course, here we are, victim mode activated. And I just cannot with this whole playing the victim thing. It's exhausting. How did we even get here? America used to be a country of pride and accountability. And now we've got sovereign citizens, professional victims, and people who think stop signs are optional. It's getting out of control.
And I was really trying to get to the destination because I have a medical condition that's life-threatening right now. So I explained it was a trust, and they went to the car, and I got out to get tissue out my car, which I have a receipt and a picture that I did have tissue in my car. I was going to use the bathroom on the side of a house or wherever because I was not going to expose myself to waste matter with my blood condition. They came up to me, and it was like, ma'am, what are you doing? They all rushed towards me. They all grabbed me. Then all of a sudden, somebody had their hands between my legs, brisket touching me, my breasts, searching me. They pushed me up against the car. They put cuffs on me in front of my children. They put me in the back of the car. I was screaming for help. They went up to the car and they were taunting my son in front of his girlfriend and his little sister who looks up to him. Like, I said, I just had to use the bathroom. I asked him nicely. I said, can you please just sit me on the ground? I do not want to waste inside of your car. I wasted myself in my car once I got back in my car after they put me in the back of the car. So that's what happened on that day. And I asked the officers, how would you want your mother handled? I'm an older woman. And he did this in front of my children. I went to the temple earlier that day, a sacred in the Hindu temple, and did sacred rituals. Wasn't nobody supposed to be touching me. And somebody just came up to me and was touching between my legs and my breast. And I don't know where they came from, and they were all surrounding me.
Anything else you want to say, Ms. Bay?
I was screaming for help because I was terrified for my life. I was not guilty of anything, but needing to use the bathroom and not wanting to soil myself. I just wanted to get to my destination, which was off of Oneida and 9 Mile, which literally 2 minutes away. I did not make it.
All right, the court has heard the testimony from Officer Milosh and from Ms. Bay. In this case, the standard is a preponderance of evidence. Mr. Milosh testified that he saw Ms. Bay run the red light at Coolidge and North End. Ms. Bay acknowledged running the red light in question in this case. The people's burden is satisfied beyond a preponderance of the evidence in this case. I'm finding Ms. Bay responsible for running a red light. The fine is going to be $165. You'll have till October 1st to pay it. I will send that to the Novara address where we sent the other notices, so you'll get the paperwork in the mail. You're all set.
Excuse me, Your Honor. So what I'm asking you is, I have a question. You're telling me, is the court telling me that trust situations are not seen as trust, because this is a trust matter? This is not
All right,
what
so
you
Ms.
think
Bay,
it is.
there's no.
And for a split second, I almost believed her little sob story. But nope, she completely ruined it by snitching on herself and then diving headfirst into that sovereign citizen nonsense. Like, you can't have it both ways. Either admit what you did, or stick to your ridiculous script. But nah, she had to mix it all together like some weird legal soup. And now she's sitting there, confused about why it didn't work. What really gets me is how confident these people are while making absolutely no sense. Like, ma'am, how are you mad at the court for giving you a ticket when you literally admitted to the violation? That's like robbing a bank and then being offended when the cops show up. What did you think Kate was gonna HAPPE in? No, look, playing the victim might work in some situations, but in court? Yeah, not a chance. Judges don't care about your feelings, they care about facts. And this lady? She really thought the judge was gonna get emotional over her nonsense. Spoiler alert, she didn't. And honestly, I respect it. The judge handled this one perfectly. No patience for the games, no entertaining the nonsense, just straight to the point. That's exactly how it should be. But seriously, it never fails to amaze me how sovereign citizens will argue for hours about laws they don't even understand. And this one was literally looking up at the ceiling, trying to remember her made-up script. It never ends well for them. Anyway, I'm wrapping it up here. Let me know in the comments, did any of you actually buy her sob story? Because to me, this was textbook professional victim behavior. She wasn't trying to win. She was just trying to dodge consequences. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. I post every single day. Appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.